But in a startup, it is the very best definition of a startup which I've heard is it is like building a bike while you are riding it.
So we would like to begin with your story, how you switched from a high-paying job to doing the startup.
So Two Roots is actually not my first venture. Before this, also I was running my own digital marketing agency. The major career has been as a digital marketer. I have worked with more than 400 brands across the globe, startups to blue chip companies, setting up their digital strategies. And I have done international award-winning work in that. So after my last job, which was in a digital marketing agency, one of the leading agencies in India, handling their North India operations, I started my own social media agency with a couple of friends. But a couple of years down the line, I kind of wanted to get out of service industry and wanted to create something more scalable. And at that time, I was sitting with a friend of mine who is actually somebody who has built up cycling culture in India. And she's the first lady to do the race across America, non-stop cycling, which is done like 5,000 kilometers cycling across America in 12 days. So she once told me a story about visiting Rajasthan. I was in Pune back then. And she once told me a story about visiting Rajasthan with a couple of friends of her. And they used to cycle from a village to village. They were in Udaipur. They used to ask the villagers to give them to work with their cattle or working on their farms. And for that, they used to ask for live with them, live in their houses and like give them food. Now, hospitality of Rajasthan is famous. Everybody know about this, right? So villagers were offering everything for free for them, but they wanted that experience. So they wanted to work on their farms, like living their experience, living their life, the rural experience. And once we were sitting at her place in Pune, and she has traveled across the globe. But she told me that that was the best travel experience she had so far. So this got me thinking about the potential of rural tourism in India, and that laid the grounds for Two Roots. But actually, Two Roots is not my first venture. My first venture was back in college in 2009. I created a website called collegecover.com with two of my friends. Then I built up Social Gems Media Private Limited, which is headquartered in Pune, and I actually forfeited my equity, and my friends are running it. And Two Roots is practically my third venture.
Great. Sounds very interesting of how you started from an actual problem, identify an actual problem, took took opinions from a friend and then started your own journey. So Naveen, we see that startup journey is never a smooth one. So what are the challenges you faced in the process?
Okay. So see, startups, everybody only see the tip of the iceberg when we see the success stories of startups and everything. And that's why whenever I'm invited to anywhere to talk to the students or anything, I actually kind of scare them that if you are only ready, then you should get into it. Nobody sees what goes behind it. It's been almost like coming to 5 years now, and for what I have started Two Roots, and 4 years out of it has gone into only the development of the model. In Two Roots, especially was a very complex kind of a business where we are using the rural native people to provide services like apex services of travel experiences to the travelers who are coming from across the globe. So it was a very tricky kind of a thing, which is completely managed by the local people and everything. So I have taken a toll of like, I have not earned anything in the last 4 years. We raised money, but we are taking only peanuts and everything. And every time when you are doing something in a startup, you plan a lot of things, right? But not more than 50% of that goes according to the plan. You are always on your toes, changing things, thinking on your toes, and then acting accordingly. Because it will never be according to your plan. In a job, you know that this is what you have to do. You don't have to deviate from your plan much. But in a startup, it is the very best definition of a startup which I've heard is it is like building a bike while you are riding it. So every minute, every hour, every day, you are firefighting. You are always changing on your plans. You have planned something yesterday, you are now changing it and improving it. So this is actually the biggest challenge in a startup, and this is what takes it all on like mental health or anything. If a person is not ready about doing or serious about doing the startup, people get frustrated pretty soon. And it has happened with me also. In the journey of Two Roots, I have seen the lows and everything. But you have to, and again, if you are a solo founder, especially, you have to recharge yourself, get high and get going. So that's why it is. You must have heard that solo founders are not recommended. You should always be like, you should have a founder, a co-founder or something, because it helps you when you are low. He can pick you up and boost your energy and everything. Or when your founder is another co-founder is low, you can boost him up or her up. But being a solo founder, I've faced these problems many a times. But again, you have to like dust yourself and get going.
Any one instance from your journey into Roots where you thought that, you know, everything is crashing down and you picked yourself up? Any like live
First,
instance?
yeah. First thing was when I started this, I had no savings, nothing. I started this journey, and the idea was to simply create a marketplace based on my research, only creating a marketplace of rural tourism in India. But 4 or 5 months down the line, after experimenting with that, or 8 9 months down the line, I got to know that there you cannot create a marketplace because there are not much services in rural tourism. then then I have to completely change my business model. Then I got into like, we'll have to create more opportunities in rural tourism. Created a model for that, tried that by creating like by curating experiences via travel bloggers only. But again, it was a challenge. then we then I got to know, like 1 year, 1.5 year down the line, I got to know that this will be the business model I'm going to go with. So it took me almost like 1.5 years just to identify the business potential and actually what is the solution. So after 1.5 years journey down the line with Two Roots, I understood that this is how we are going to do it, and we'll have to create our own experiences. Then again, that was the next challenge. We identified that this will be our business model, but validating that. Biggest challenge was, we were dealing with uh, the people who are at the grassroots level. Most of them are uneducated, and we are expecting them to provide world class services, like not luxury, but basic things, taking care of basic hygiene, how to manage things. And most of the travelers are international travelers, so their expectations are, if not luxury, even if not luxury, their expectations are like a notch up, right? And it was a very difficult thing to manage. The most difficult thing to manage was how to maintain, because these travelers, when they are coming for our experiences, they actually want to be a part of that experience, right? But again, how to maintain letting them into into your life. Let's say a traveler is coming, and they wanted a rural experience. They want to be part of the rural family life, of the rural family, experience their life. But again, maintaining some a difference between like invading their privacy. So we have to kind of create a thin line where letting them be a part of your family, but at the same time, the rural native people, they have to avoid that they cannot invade their privacy. So training these people to manage things, this has been the most difficult thing in the entire journey. But finally, we did it, and we have seen examples. Like once there was a couple of European travelers in a village in Alwar. So initially, when we were doing our experimentation, I used to travel along with the travelers to see how the rural people are managing this thing. And it was a group of 12, 13 travelers. And the head of the house, the man of the house in the rural family, he actually got mad at his 5-year-old kid. And he started beating him left, right, and center. And this is something international travelers cannot expect. So we have seen a lot of a lot of things which we actually not cannot expect only, and you have to deal with them at the same time. So there has been a lot of experiences which we have never thought of, and but finally we got over it, and now we are probably the only company in India who is doing rural tourism at this scale in 4 or 5 states, which are completely managed by the rural people. We have tried, tested, and validated it.
That's absolutely amazing. I mean, what you have, you know, done and started and initiated, and what the startup has become today. Absolutely tremendous job. So you talking about your startup operation, you said that, you know, traveler bloggers can create a very good experience for the tourist while giving the tour of the place. So how did you manage to replace travel guides with travel bloggers?
Actually, we are going beyond that. We started our idea where we supposed to use travel bloggers as tour guides, but now we are going beyond that. Now actually the rural people are becoming our tour guides. The travel bloggers are at least educated, but most of the people in the villages are uneducated, and most of our travelers are international travelers. So basic English is required. So right now, actually, we are going beyond that and creating tour guides in the local villages. So we created tour a local coordinator who is kind of our brand ambassador at the local village level, and he coordinates among the travelers as well as the local villagers, native villagers who are providing the service. So it happens like this. Let's say a traveler comes to us, we then identify, we then actually, let's say he made a booking for one of our place called Rusi Rani, which is in Alwar. Now we'll notify our local coordinator over there that at this date, these are the travelers who will be coming. So that person is actually responsible for the complete experience of the travelers and coordinating with the local villagers, because that person is actually only a guide for them. But rest of the services are provided by the local families. They will be eating in the home of the local family. They will be staying in the local homes and everything. So not just not tour guides, not travel bloggers. Now we are using the local people as tour guides, and we have seen phenomenal experience. For this, we go into a lot of training with the locals. We do a lot of training with the locals because they have to take care of a lot of things. For international travelers, there are a lot of formalities like filling up C forms and submitting them to the local authorities. Then a lot of other things we have to take care of. But we do a lot of comprehensive training sessions, especially with the local coordinator, because he's the one who will be coordinating. Rest of the families and everything will be providing key services like the food, the stay, and letting them into the part of their family and everything. But the local coordinator will be managing this entirely. So we do a lot of training sessions for them, that how, and we also give them real life situations that these kind of situations might arise, then how to deal with them. And we have seen so far very good experience from the travelers. And actually, because they are not very well versed with English language, it is actually their English is a bit of rustic. So that has a rustic charm, and travelers love it actually. Instead of getting somebody who is fluent in English, somebody who is actually speaking if I not very good English, is actually a good experience for them. They like it. They feel that it is authentic.
Great, great. So, the entire objective, I think, with which you started, that you have to create an experience at grassroots level, you're actually giving it to the customers, and
Yes,
customers are loving it.
authentic. And again, using the local person as a guide also is very useful. Why? Because one, it is making authentic, and again, nobody knows any place better than a native, right?
Mm-hmm.
So while the guide only can give them a bookish information, the local knows the local folklores, local stories, local people, and everything. So he's like he's deeply rooted with the native place. So he can tell them stories which they cannot expect from a tour guide.
Mm-hmm.
So it is actually a far better experience for them.
Absolutely, absolutely. So Naveen, in such a competitive market, how did you design your business model, and how are you ensuring that it is sustainable and is running in the long run?
So for a business like us to become a sustainable business as well as a scalable business, there are a couple of things important which we identified. One, avoiding any outsiders like tour guides. Our experiences are completely managed by the local people. This gives us a scalability. Okay. Second, because see, let's say if we go to 1,000 villages to create experiences, we will need thousands of guides, which will be difficult to manage and everything. But if we can create people who will from the local village who will be managing this. So and then there are backups of these people also. Like at every village we have a local coordinator, then other community coordinators, and then the native families and everything. But if everything can be managed locally, then it becomes that's what makes us scalable. Again, then we have bifurcated some different things like for sustainability. 75% of the money is actually distributed directly among the local people. Let's say we charge a traveler 4,000 rupees. 3,000 out of it will be distributed among these local native people. And we have created a formula of it, like that much will go to the local coordinator, that much will go to the families, that much will be the part of the local community. We have a local community development pool also. So that will be used for the development of the village. Then again, to make it stronger, like we only give money to the lady of the family. So, and because we understand that the lady of the family in the villages can use that money better. So we have created certain models around it also. So again, a very important thing to avoid things being commercialized completely was to that if there is a lot of money involved, if the local villagers started earning a lot of cash money, we start seeing labkas created, which we see at most of the tourist centers. They are labkas. We wanted to maintain the local harmony and everything. So for that, we have created systems like there is a limit capping on monthly cash earning of the family. Rest of the money, if there is more earning, more travelers are coming in, we actually use that money to educate the girl child of the family and things like that. So we have put a capping. Otherwise ऐसा होता है ना यार खून मुंह लग गया है and वहाँ पे लब के system create हो जाता है. Commercialization हमें नहीं चाहिए. We need to maintain the rural sanctity and harmony. Again, from the traveler point of view, we have certain set of rules and regulations. Like, let's say, in most of our villages, actually you cannot drink. The people have puja ghar in their homes and everything, and they don't drink in most of the villages. So we don't allow our travelers like that. Agar travelers chahte bhi hai ki we are a group of 50 people, we want to go party, we cannot do that. In certain villages where people accept this, the local families accept this, we allow this. But we have stringent rules that you are going to be a part of their life and experiencing their life, but you cannot at any point kind of try to destroy it, or make like you have to maintain that peace and harmony and the system's rural sanctity. So we have certain set of rules for our travelers also.
So I think, when you've placed focus on very, very intricate things, but which are the important ones. So kudos on that, how you identify that these things matter to people living in the village. So that is a very, very interesting thing, I guess. So, as you see that, we see that you are a very, very down to earth person and you prefer living in a traditional hut rather than a 5-star hotel. How do you manage to promote this idea to young Indians, which has changed their taste into luxurious lifestyle, which is inspired mostly by Western culture?
Actually, this is not entirely true. Though the millennials aspire to experience the luxury things, but they also want experiences which are unexpected, which you say that because these are the kind of things. I have been to the things where like I have been on we've been on experiences which are offbeat. So these are kind of things which the millennial travelers are looking for. So it is not completely true that they are only looking for the luxury experiences, but they are also looking for these kind of experiences. But so far, in the offbeat experiences, what we have seen is trekking, camping, the adventure experiences. But this is the new kind of experience which are becoming available. People are looking for these kind of experiences, but they don't have any kind of access to these kind of experiences so far. So right now, and we are not about just about like off the beaten path or about adventure or this, but in our experiences, it is not just a tour which you are taking, but with every experience, there are a couple of important things in our experience. We are experiencing something which you might not expect. That is the first thing. Second, you are with a local family and you actually create emotional connects with the family when you stay with them, because the people are so harmonious. They are so welcoming you in their life and everything. You actually create emotional connections, and that is actually makes it a lifelong memory. So we actually project the real experience, not just in itinerary. Instead of selling an itinerary that this is what you will be doing, we actually sell crux of an experience. We try to project or market that to the audience, and actually we have seen our audience connecting with it. In like experiences which we have in Mumbai, in villages near Mumbai and Pune, most of our travelers are domestic travelers, not international travelers. In our villages in Uttarakhand, most of the travelers are domestic travelers. So that consensus is now changing. It is not entirely true, and people are looking for these kind of experiences. It is just that we have to reach out to them.
Correct. Definitely. So, Naveen, we see that what has happened in the world in the past 6 months has entirely changed how we function, has entirely changed the travel industry. Do you think COVID is an opportunity for people to finally appreciate their local cultures, as we can predict more people traveling locally and road traveling coming into picture?
See, travel is an innate thing of human nature. We humans travel, we like to travel, we want to travel, and we do travel. Okay, so people will be traveling, but after COVID, yes, you very rightly said it, people will be looking for experiences which are away from those crowded tourist spots and everything. So things like these, the local cultures and the things we say, these kind of things are available mostly in distant places. See, like to give you an example, uh, So there is this art of this in Rajasthan. It is a famous thing which is called Lak ki Chudiyan. Okay. Now Jaipur have center for these kind of things, but these are mostly actually done in distant villages. The famous artisans who have been doing these for generations are in the villages, and they are doing it for generations to get the actual experience of that thing. This is a part of our local culture, right? Our history and everything. We have to go there, and people and again, these are away from the cluster tourist destinations, and people are looking to get away from that. And once people get a taste of it, and then again the word of mouth and everything, because see, you need to have a tipping point. You have to reach that critical mass, and once we reach that, it will explode. So once we reach that number of travelers, I cannot predict that number, but we call it critical mass, or you call it tripping point, or whatever you call it. Once we reach that, it will go beyond, like, and it will be a hockey stick kind of a growth in that. But yes, this COVID will change the scenario fast.
Great, great. So Naveen, we know that COVID has impacted your startup as well drastically. So how you're looking more as an opportunity or as a challenge, and how would you suggest other startups to fight this unforeseen circumstances?
See, first and most important thing is whatever doesn't kills you makes you stronger. Mm-hmm. So whoever will sustain this will actually, and to sustain, you'll have to stay afloat. So we have in our case, we have actually started looking at things like we have cut down our expenses to very minimal. We are only spending on things which are very critical. That is first. So it makes you see, it will actually in the recent startup world, what we have been seeing was people used to get funding and then spending outrageously. But now, and in Rajasthan especially, Marwadi jo mindset hai, Lala mindset, people will be forced to think like that. Why Marwadi community is famous in businesses across the globe, not just in India or Rajasthan, but across the globe. Marwadis are famous for business because उनकी thinking यही होती है कि हाँ, profitability is the most important thing. And now most of the startups will actually be thinking like that, and we also are like are thinking like that. So COVID has forced us to think like that, which is the only way of doing business. Otherwise, इससे पहले growth, we have so many customers, but your unit economics were negative. In most of the startups, we see that they are burning money. But now COVID has forced us to see beyond that. Profitability is the only way to do business. जो Marwadi way of business है, and COVID has made us think like that. So in the longer run, actually, it will change the mindset of the people, mindset of the founders, mindset of the investors. Investors will now look at people at the startups who are thinking profitability, not just growth. So actually, it will have a very huge impact on it, and I believe that it will be a positive impact.
All right, great. So Naveen, how have you seen, if we talk specifically in terms of two routes, how has these past 6 months been for you?
See, this was the first year actually we opened ourselves to for bookings. Mm-hmm. Past 4 years have been experimentation. We have done our bookings, but that we consider as a part of our experimentation and validation. This was the first year where we done most of the tie-ups with the international travel agencies, inbound travel agencies, and we are expecting a lot of travelers this year for the first time. We opened up and COVID happened, so that has changed the plans completely. But what we have done is this: at the time when you are not getting more travelers, what we can do is we can actually develop more and more experiences. So right now we are completely in development phase, and then in the partnership phase to get more. So as soon as the travelers start, we can get more and more travelers for the international travelers. But for now, we are also now focusing on how we can get, because international travelers is a longer story. It will take some time. What can start fast is the domestic travelers. So now we are also switching gears how we can start pitching it directly to the domestic travelers, that this is an alternate, like we talked in your previous question, how millennials are seeing these things. So initially we are not focusing for that a lot, because we had a lot of international travelers and that was our target market. But now we are forced to see the domestic travelers as our market. So we are changing our gears. As soon as it opens up and people start traveling, how can we pitch it to them? And it will be like the pitch will be big, like you can go and देखो अपना देश is the core kind of idea behind this campaign we will be doing. And again, instead of, let's say, asking somebody from Mumbai to come to Uttarakhand or go, because we will not be traveling a lot far now, not soon at least, but they'll be looking for experiences which are, let's say, 2 or 3 hour drive away from them, because people will not be using public transportation. Mostly they would like to travel by their own means, bike or car or whatever. So road trips will start prominently. And again, nobody would be looking to travel lot far, which will like be an overnight journey or 10-12 hours journey, because they'll have to have a lot of touch points in that journey, and people want to avoid that. So now we are trying to create experiences in cluster of, let's say, the metro cities. We already have destinations near Delhi. We already have destinations near Mumbai and Pune. We are looking to develop more destinations near Bangalore, Hyderabad, and other metro cities, because these here are the people who will be looking to travel, and these will be developed in the cluster of the major cities, so that they can have a very small, even if they want a day experience or an overnight experience, which is 2 or 3 hours away, drive away from their base station, and which is something they'll not, and where they will not be going to a touristy crowded place, but they'll have a different kind of experience. So we are trying to pitch it like that.
All right, absolutely, absolutely great. Um, so Naveen, if we look at a startup in the travel sector, what would be your suggestions in terms of how they should be planning things in the short term and in the long run?
For short term, I would suggest that most of the travelers will be looking to travel very short. So the travel startups or travel companies should try to pitch in or market experiences which are in the vicinity of the travelers, not more than 2-3 hours of journeys. Like, you should not be marketing generally like the Himalayan treks across India. They will happen, but not a lot. People will be very cautious. If there is somebody who is a avid trekker, he'll be going to trek. He'll be going to Himalayas even from Mumbai or South or anywhere. But generally, most of the travel will be happening in the vicinity. So, as I told earlier in the previous question, in the short term, travel startups should be looking for creating curate. If they don't they already don't have experiences, they should be curating and marketing experiences to the travelers in their vicinity. That is the first. Eventually, it will take some time, but after year and a half, they'll be the travel will open and people will be traveling far and everything. But they will be cautious about hygiene and everything. So travel startups, let's say somebody who is a tour company who is providing entire journey of travel, buses or trains and everything, they should be keeping that in mind, that the journey, the travel experience will be hygienic. Initially, it was luxury or comfort or the different kind of experience, but a hygiene factor will become a must. It will be a constant, like you can say, the fourth factor which will be added to all the experiences. So they should start thinking like that. Even if in the longer term, when the travel will start, this will be a very important part. For us, like in rural experiences, hygiene was always a factor, but now we have to notch it up. Now we have started putting up, like we already used to have first aid kits and first aid training to our native villagers, but now we have started things like they have sanitizers and everything, and in the longer run they'll need that. So hygiene factor is gonna become a must, and people have to start marketing things like that also.
Absolutely, absolutely. So now we have finally come to the end of this entire conversation, and we really loved your insights and how you created this entire story and how you presented all your ideas and answers. And it has been a pleasure to have you with us. We thank you for your time you gave us, and we look for a long-term association with you, because we see that there are a lot of things which we can be done with you, because we see that you are a very, very enthusiastic entrepreneur, and there are a lot of things we can learn from you.
Thanks. Sure, Tushar. It was good talking to you. I would love to be a part of your ecosystem.
Thank you so much, Naveen. Thank you so much.